If you're a business owner with an Amex Business Platinum card in Australia, something big just happened. You need to know about some changes that Amex announced recently, and to be honest, companies are really good at burying these changes under the carpet pretty well. If you earn points through your business expenses, if you redeem for business or first class, if you rely on Amex to fund your international travel, you need to pay attention to this video. These changes affect you directly, immediately, and financially. I'm Gagan. I have been flying business and first class for 11 years using points, and I help Australian business owners do the same thing. Over the last 18 months, I've worked with clients spending anywhere from $10,000 a month to $10 million a month on their business expenses. What Amex just announced affects every single one of them. And if you are not paying attention, it's going to cost you money. Unless you're drowning in millions of points, I think you should pay attention to this video. So let me break down exactly what's changing, when it's happening, and the single strategy that can turn devaluation into a non-issue. Right, Amex made 3 major changes. 2 are on the bad side. 1 looks good, but actually isn't. And the first one is probably the one that hurts the most, especially if you're not strategic about it. So let's start with the first change, which is that transfer rates to airline partners are getting worse. In my last video about 5 changes the airlines don't want you to know about, this was actually one of the points. From December 15, 2025, British Airways drops from 2 Amex points for Avios to 3 Amex points for 1 Avios. That's a 33% devaluation. Same story with Cathay Pacific, Etihad, Malaysian Airlines, Qatar, and Virgin Atlantic. All are going from 2-to-1 down to 3-to-1. Emirates, unfortunately, is even worse. It was already 3-to-1, and now it's going to 4-to-1. That is a 25% devaluation on top of an already unfavorable rate. And they are completely removing Thai Airways as a transfer partner. Now, if you're thinking, I don't use those airlines anyway, here's what you need to understand. When you transfer Amex points to British Airways, you're not just getting access to British Airways flights, you are actually getting access to the entire One World Alliance. That includes Qantas, American Airlines, Cathay Pacific, Japan Airlines, and many more. You can often book Qantas flights using British Airways Avios at better rates as compared to directly booking with Qantas. It's much like booking Singapore Airlines flights with Velocity points as compared to with booking with Singapore Airlines direct. So when Amex devalues these transfer partners, they're not just making those specific airlines more expensive. They're actually making the entire alliance networks 33% more expensive to access. That's the real hit. The second change is that the pay with points benefit on the Business Platinum card just lost its power. Most people don't even know this exists, but if you book flights through your Amex Travel, you used to get a 35% rebate on the points you used. So a 200,000 point business class ticket actually cost you 130,000 points. Since September 18, 2025, that 35% rebate only applies to one airline that you select. For every other airline, it drops to 20%. Let me put that into perspective. The same 200,000 point ticket now costs you 160,000 points if it's not your selected airline. That's 30,000 more points per booking. For a business owner flying multiple routes or destinations throughout the year, it all adds up fast. With the third change, it sounds like a benefit, but maybe it's not. Amex is adding everyday rewards as a transfer partner and rounding your spend to the nearest dollar instead of cutting off the cents. You can now transfer Amex points to everyday rewards at 5 Amex points for 4 everyday reward points. Then you can convert everyday rewards to Qantas at 2 everyday rewards for 1 Qantas point. So the indirect rate from Amex to Qantas through the everyday is actually 2.5 Amex points for 1 Qantas point. This sounds reasonable until you realize that most Amex Business Platinum cardholders already have direct access to Qantas transfers at 2 Amex points for 1 Qantas points. So I'm not sure what Amex was trying to do there, which means maybe they're giving you a worse transfer rate and calling it a new benefit, but it's actually a hidden downgrade. Let me share with you what you should be doing now, even though these changes are coming into effect very soon on the 15th of December 2025. Let me start with what you shouldn't do. Don't panic. Here is where most people get it wrong. They see a devaluation like this, immediately start panicking, transferring all their points out, or worse, giving up on the points altogether. That's exactly what the corporation wants you to do. Confusion leads to inaction. Inaction means you keep earning points at a new, lower value without complaint. By the time you realize, you've caused yourself some anxiety, stress, and overwhelm. But here is what they're not telling you. The devaluation only hurts if you are not earning enough points in the first place. Let me explain what I mean. If you're a business owner spending $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a month or more in business expenses on your Amex and earning 2.25 Amex membership rewards or 1.125 points per dollar, you are accumulating roughly 405,000 points a year. This is assuming you're spending 30 grand a month. Under the old system, that got you about 1.5 return business class flights to Europe through British Airways, as an example. Under the new system, after the devaluation happens, that same 405,000 points gets you about 1 return flight with a few points left over as loose change. Now, losing half a business class flight per year sounds bad, and it is if you keep earning the same way. But what if I told you that most business owners spending $30,000 a month in business expenses should actually be earning closer to 1 million points per year across all their programs, not just 405,000 points, and that too at an insanely low cost of acquisition. Suddenly, that 33% devaluation becomes a lot less painful. Instead of 1 return flight, you're now looking at potentially 2 to 3 return flights with the help of that 1 million points a year accumulation. You are still way ahead of where you were before, even with the devaluation, if you know how to do that. This is the critical shift most business owners miss. They focus on the devaluation instead of focusing on their earning rate. It's like focusing on, I can't do this, to how can I? Here's what you actually need to do. First, audit your current points position. How many Amex points do you actually have? How many Qantas points do you have? How many Velocity points do you have? How many Singapore KrisFlyer points do you have? How many Qatar Avios do you have? Most business owners have no idea. They know they have some points, but they have never actually calculated the value sitting in their accounts. One of my clients had 500,000 flyby points that he didn't even know existed, which is the equivalent to 250,000 Velocity points. So do this first, because you cannot make smart decisions without knowing where you stand. Second, calculate how many points you're actually earning per month, not just from your Amex card. I'm actually talking across all channels: credit card spend, supplier payments, ATO payments, BAS, PAYG, insurances, utilities, subscription, business rent, everything. Most business owners think they are earning well because they're using a premium card. But when you break down the numbers, they're leaving at least 200 to up to 500,000 points per year on the table just from the expenses they are already paying. Third, build a multi-program and alliance strategy, not just a single program strategy. What I mean by that is, if you understood how the alliances work, you're putting your knowledge on steroids. Amex is devaluing their transfer partners. Fine. That doesn't mean you stop using Amex. It means you stop relying only on Amex. Here's what I mean. If you have 500,000 Amex points as an example, 400,000 Qantas points, and 300,000 Velocity points, a 33% devaluation on Amex to British Airways is annoying, certainly, but not devastating. you can book that trip through Qantas or Velocity Alliance partners instead. And you also need to incorporate something I teach in my program called the laws of timing. So if you understand how to use the alliance partners correctly, even if you're short of a few Velocity or Qantas points, you can always transfer to Velocity or Qantas from your Amex, as these transfer ratios have not gotten affected because Qantas and Velocity were 2:1 and they are remaining 2:1. But if you're only relying on Amex points and nothing else, you're stuck accepting whatever changes they make. That's a vulnerable position to be in. Diversification isn't just for investments, it applies to points too. Fourth, understand that earning volume solves most devaluation problems. I had a client recently who was stressed about the Amex devaluation. He had 300,000 Amex points and was planning a trip to the UK, and that would have cost 212,000 points under the old rate. With the new rate, it costs 318,000. He was short of points and therefore a little frustrated. When I say a little, you understand what I'm saying. But here's what we did. We restructured how he was paying for one of his major suppliers, same supplier, same payment amount, different payment method. That generated an extra 150,000 points in a single transaction. Suddenly, the devaluation didn't matter anymore. He had more than enough points for this flight, plus points left over for the next trip. That's what I mean by volume solving the problem. When you're generating 100 to 200,000 points per month, a 33% devaluation is just a minor bump or a recalculation. You adjust and you move on. But when you're only generating 20,000 to 30,000 points per month, a 33% devaluation is catastrophic. It's the difference between getting the flight or not. Imagine this. 12 months from now, or maybe even 9 months from now, your business expenses haven't changed, but your points earning has. You are now generating 1 million to 1.5 million points per year across multiple programs. Amex devalues something? Doesn't matter. Velocity is strong, Qantas is strong. You have options. You have leverage. Now you have control. Your business now prints premium travel on autopilot if you choose to. That's what this is really about. Not rescuing your points, but rebuilding your system so you can never be blindsided again. Look, I know this sounds complicated. You didn't start your business to become a points expert. You've got a company to run, clients to serve, and enough complexity to manage without adding loyalty programs to the list. But here's what you need to understand. You are already spending the money. Whether it's $10,000 a month or $100,000 a month or more, those business expenses are happening regardless. The question is whether you are extracting maximum value from that spending or letting these devaluations quietly drain thousands of dollars in travel value every year. Because that's what happens when you're not paying attention. A 33% devaluation here, a 20% increase there, and suddenly the points you thought would cover your family trip to Europe barely cover a domestic flight. If you're a business owner spending $10,000 or more per month in your business as expenses, and you want to make sure you're not leaving money on the table, we can help by bridging the gap and giving you the missing piece of the puzzle without much effort. At turnleftforless, we work with business owners in Australia and help them turn their business and lifestyle spending into consistent business and first-class travel. We can help you by giving you a repeatable and plug-and-play system that can regularly print freedom by way of booking first and business class flights for anywhere between 50 to 90% less. Not through hacks or tricks, but through proper strategy, leverage, and what I call points arbitrage. When you register on our website, and if you book a call with us, here is what we'll do. We will review your current monthly spend, calculate exactly how many points you should be earning, identify the gaps where you are losing value, and build you a clear roadmap to start generating the volume of points that makes devaluations like this irrelevant. The goal is simple: turn the money you're already spending into premium travel without adding complexity to your life. Here's an example of what I did recently. I traveled to Japan in first class from Sydney to Tokyo, and my out-of-pocket spend plus points for an otherwise $8,000 retail ticket. Check it out. If you would like to make bookings like this, once again, I invite you to click the link below, register yourself to receive travel tips and updates. And also, if you're a business owner spending over 10, 20, 30 grand a month in business expenses, to perhaps book a strategy call with us, and we'll map out a personalized game plan for you. I wish you all the best, and I'll see you in the next video.